Hi, my name's Shari Levitin. Welcome to my video lesson, The Ghost in the Room, the must-learn isolation technique. We've all had it happen. Your prospects love it, they want it, and you're a great salesperson. They'll most likely buy it, maybe even two of them, but they need to speak to their brother, their lawyer, their accountant. And guess what? That person isn't here. In fact, they're in Brussels on vacation for the next month. They're the ghost in the room. What do you do to close the deal today? The novice salesperson does one of two things. They either suggest getting in contact with that person, or they have some clever rebuttal like, "You don't need your lawyer's permission to buy this now, do you?" Or, "What does your brother have to do with the car you drive, the vacation you take, the house you live in, or whatever product you happen to be selling?" The problem with either of these two approaches is simply this. It violates the number one rule of overcoming objections. When confronted with any objection, we must isolate it to determine if it's the only objection and the final objection. You see, one of the biggest mistakes salespeople make in closing is they fail to isolate the customer's objection. If we don't isolate the objection, we'll never know if their concern is real or simply an excuse. So next time your prospect says he or she would love to purchase, but needs to ask someone who isn't present, the ghost in the room, try this simple formula. Number one, listen intently to the concern. And when I say listen, I mean don't interrupt. We salespeople tend to interrupt. Number two, say, "So if I understand correctly, if," and then repeat the person isn't here, "if such and such says no, you won't go ahead and purchase." Now remember this, step number two is you want to repeat the no, not the yes. By doing that, they'll need to agree because they just said they had to talk to that person. This avoids what we call cognitive dissonance. They just said they have to talk to somebody, so you confirm. So if they say no, you're not going to do it. Is that correct? And they'll say, that's correct. If they say no, I'm not going to do it. Then step number three, you say, so if they say yes, then would you go ahead and purchase? Now here's the thing. They have to say yes. Otherwise, why would they say they're going to talk to them? You see, this is, in effect, a very sophisticated isolation technique. So, of course, they'll say, well, yes, of course I will. But like I said, my brother's in Brussels. So, yes, if he says yes, of course I'll go ahead and buy it. But here's the thing. It's step number four. Now ask why. So if your brother says yes, why would you purchase? Here's why this is such a great technique. Because now you're getting them to say why they would buy it. You see, whether or not their brother gives them their validation. And here's why this is so important. People don't believe it when we say it, they believe it when they say it. So you say, why would you buy it? And they start telling you all the reasons they want to buy it. They give you their dominant buying motive. Let them talk and listen. Don't interrupt them. Sometimes people will go on for 2-3 minutes. So that's step number four. Step number five. Now you close using their reason they just told you in step number four as an emotional reason for them to purchase today. I'm going to give you an example of how a salesperson used this on me. You see, I thought to do this particular lesson this month because just last week I was in the market for a new car. And well, you guessed it. I was deciding between two different cars, two great cars, BMW and an Audi, both great cars. However, I wasn't quite ready to make a decision. I told Robin, the BMW dealer, that I needed to think about it. The truth is, my brother has a BMW, just like it. But I told Robin that my brother was on a business trip in Paris. Do you believe that? Well, that's what I told Robin. It was a beautiful sunny Friday afternoon in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, Robin asked me the question. He says, now, if your brother says no, I take it you wouldn't be buying it. I said, yeah, that's right. And he said, now, if your brother says yes, would you be purchasing this? I said, well, absolutely, but of course we can't get a hold of my brother. He's in Petty. It's 8 hours later in Petty. We can't get a hold of my brother. He's probably having a great time drinking wine, but we can't get a hold of him. And then Robin took a look at me and he says, well, I understand you can't get a hold of your brother, but if you could get a hold of your brother, you would buy it. I said, yes. And then he said, why is that? I thought about it and I said, well, I love the feel. I love how you can feel the road more in the BMW as opposed to the Audi. You can really feel the drive of that car. And I remembered I used to have a white BMW. Gosh, it was 20 years ago when I lived in Vail. Back then, I felt so young and free. And BMW, it's much sportier. I have fond memories of festivals in Vail and going to Aspen, playing softball in the summer, road trips through the aspen groves in the fall. As I spoke, I knew I needed to have it. I was selling myself. Robin handed me the keys and told me to make myself comfortable in the cinnamon-colored leather seats. He gave me a wink and said, I'll throw in the upgraded sound system. It's 6 hours of open highway home. Have fun on your way to Park City. So try this new isolation technique. Whenever you get an objection, isolate it first. And when there's a ghost, tell him to hit the highway. I'm Shari Levitin, telling you, isolate first.